Thanja, welcome to Super Talk Show. It's such an honor to have you with us today.
Thanks for having me, Heidi. It's so nice to be here.
Yeah, thank you for being here. To start the interview off, do you want to give a brief introduction about yourself?
Okay, sure, great. I can do that. My name is Thanja. I live in a small town in Botswana. I'm 18 years old, and I have recently won the Harvard Crimson Global Essay Competition in the creative category this year.
Yeah, that's really awesome. And of course, that's going to be the topic of this entire interview. So I guess the audience listening to this interview right now, let me give a quick introduction about myself. I'm also the other first place winner of the Harvard Crimson Global Essay Competition, but mine is the argumentative category, and Thanja did the creative category one. So I would assume that the audience or the majority of the audience are people who are participating in the 2023 version or beyond. So let's just get to the point, and I want to ask you the question that everybody's waiting for. So how did you win the competition?
That is a really difficult question, actually. Or just a lot of effort, some very tiring, caffeine-driven nights, and the creativity. It's basically just a amalgam of effort and trying your best and lots of caffeine. Caffeine definitely goes into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and just passion, obviously. I mean, passion can go so far if you love something.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So how did you get, well, personally for me, I think my idea for the topic of what I wrote was really played a critical role in getting that award for me. So how did you come up with your topic? You wrote about dancing, and I think it's really creative. So how did that come up to your mind?
Well, it took a while. I actually wanted to go into argumentative first because that was the first thing that had so many ideas just popped into my head. But then my niche has always been creative writing. So then I started looking at the creative side, and it took a few days of just thinking because I felt like they were slightly more difficult topics, and it was such a small box that you had to think outside of, and it was insane. So I was just taking all the topics, thinking, okay, this, what are the ideas for this? And slowly I decided I wanted to take a interesting kind of mysterious take on one of the I forgot the word for it, one of the prompts. So my thing was making it realistic as well. So that was kind of the essence of it. So yeah, it just came to mind because I recently read Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov, and I'm obsessed with his writing style. Even though how controversial the book is, the writing style was absolutely gorgeous, and I kind of wanted to take that essence and embody it in my own character. So that was really interesting. And I have a lot to thank to that book because that really gave me a lot of inspiration.
Wow, I see. So can you give us a little bit of a background of what you actually wrote, and what prompt did you actually take on?
My prompt was describe the perfect day. And as much as I love descriptions, I wanted to kind of weave a story into my perfect day. So my perfect day took place in a courtroom setting. And at first I thought it was very kind of cliche, but it worked out for me. Takes place in a courtroom setting, and you're viewing this day from the eyes of the defendant. And he is on trial for the murder of his wife, lover, and you view it through his eyes, and as you read it, you slowly begin to realize that there's something deeper going on, and eventually, like, he describes everything and the plot twist of every plot twist things later, and that's the perfect day actually becomes switched around to the antagonist who you thought was the main character. It became really interesting. I'm not sure how to explain it, otherwise stuff goes down in court.
No, I think it's really good. And I want to ask, because of course you wrote about a story, and I would assume it's fiction. Right?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, okay. Basically, for the competition, just for some context for our audience, there's 2 rounds. First, you write a 500 word round, 500 word essay or story. And then when you get into the globals round, then you can write more. So how did that experience of, getting into the global round go for you? Because I know that it was like a really hectic week to like juggle school and writing
Yeah.
for a whole competition that you're about to win. So what was that experience like, and how did you manage your time throughout that?
Oh, that was the craziest experience because I never even thought that I would make regionals, that I would cut the global round.
Mhm.
And I remember waking up early that morning, too early. I had to wait the whole hour before the results came out. And my friend had actually participated as well, Atang. She also participated. She did not make the cut, unfortunately, but we were texting each other and talking, and then suddenly you got the email, and it was insane. I was jumping up and down, and I called Armand, and I was like, did you get it? I got it. And then it kind of, after all the glamour of making it, it kind of sets in the intensity of the competition and how the limited amount of time that you have to come up with art and something truly amazing that's going to sway the competitors. That really sunk in afterwards. And for the first few days, and I know we only had a week, I probably spent 3 days doing nothing, which is not advisable. I just sat there thinking, stressing. I maybe wrote 1 sentence, crazy. And then slowly I started taking it on as like, okay, just write. Even if you don't make it, you can like take the premise and go write a book or something. Just write it down, do it, because there's no time. There's no time to just wait for an idea to come, which is usually my tactic, and it didn't work when you have a week. So you're writing, and then I suddenly just had the idea of the plot twist come into mind, and it kind of just went from there. Even though it was still very stressful, that night we were supposed to submit, I probably submitted about 20 minutes before the deadline. That it was crazy, and I was editing and sending it through to people like, please read it and make sure there's no spelling mistakes. I can't lose points for not spelling things incorrectly. It was crazy. Yeah, definitely just getting down to do it helps so much. Waiting like pulls you back so much from what you want to achieve.
I think these are awesome advice, and definitely it sheds light into like really that hectic week that we all went through. But definitely I'm a better procrastinator than you. I waited until like the last day to like actually get 90% of the content done, and I remember I thought like the deadline was 11:45 EST. So I was like turning it in. I'm pretty sure it was like 43 past 11. So yeah. But those are really awesome guys. Yeah, I just want to ask, how was your experience with the Harvard Crimson internship? Which is part of your prize after winning the first place at competition. Yeah.
The internship was definitely one of the most remarkable experiences of my life. I'd never even imagined myself. I or there, I grew up with Gilmore Girls. I was obsessed. And you see Rory going to, like, wanting to go to Harvard, and everything you see, Harvard is so prestigious, and it feels like it doesn't even exist. And then suddenly you're at this Harvard Crimson internship, and you're like, that's crazy. It was definitely so remarkable, and it was such an amazing experience meeting these people that are at this amazing place, and they're such amazing people as well, and they're so kind, which was really a shocker to me, because in my brain I had set out like, oh gosh, they're going to be all smug and stuck up, and it's going to be awful, and there's going to be so many expectations, and I suck with the people and new people. It's going to be so scary, but it wasn't at all. It was so everyone was so lovely. The socials that we had weekly were amazing. The things they taught us, the trainings, everything, it ran so smoothly as well for a virtual internship, which is really surprising to me, to be honest. But it was amazing, and there's so much that I've learned, and the experience that I've taken away is just priceless. There's no value that you could put on that experience that you gain from an internship like that.
Yeah, definitely. I would totally agree to that sentiment. And I just want to ask, like, to end this interview off, well, for the last two questions. The first question is, if you were going to be, an actual writer in the Harvard Crimson, would you personally prefer being on the business board, the board in which we interned this summer, or the writing, like the content board? Well, there's also other boards, but which one, like, do you prefer more after all these experiences?
That's a difficult one. I must say the business side, because as much as I love writing, I really do. I'm such a big people person, and just the business aspect of everything we learned in the Harvard Crimson as well was so amazing. I would love to just be in that environment again, as much as I love writing. But it's kind of like writing and people and business mixed together, which is all really fun.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. So for the last question of this interview, if you have a quote and advice, well, although you've given so many already, but what would be something like a quote that you stick to every day and that makes you wake up, and do your stuff? Yeah. Motivation, basically.
Yeah, so there's really just, my thing is just, so much of our life is wasted in waiting to graduate, waiting to go to this nice place, waiting for the perfect idea or the perfect moment or the perfect day, or waiting until next week to restart your routine because this week it got bungled up. Waiting takes away so much from us, and it takes away so much of our potential. If there's one thing I can say is, as hard as it can be, just breathe and wake up and put in that effort, because there's no waiting. There's never going to be a perfect moment or a perfect day or the perfect idea. You really just have to do it to the best of your abilities, because if your best is all you can do, then that's amazing. Your best will always be the best, and that's why you never have to wait. Don't wait, just do. I'm really serious about that.
Wow. That's an awesome advice, and I can totally relate to, like, just waiting, for the perfect idea, for a perfect project idea, all of that. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge about, like, both the essay competition and really just in life with us today on Super Talk Show. Thank you so much, Thanja, for being here.
Thank you for having me. It was such a pleasure, Heidi.
All right, bye.
Bye.